Hey, welcome to episode 45 of PHP Town Hall. You have myself, Ben Edmond, Phil Sturgeon.
I'm sorry.
Yitz, the code rabbi, and Ben Marks, the Magento guy.
The Magento guy.
Yeah. All right. So, Yitz, introduce yourself a little bit, please.
Wow, you started out with a difficult question. Yitzchak Wolrath, code rabbi. Yeah, that's it. That's all I got.
All right. Ben.
Ben Marks. I mean, my brand is my name. That's it. No, Magento guy. So I work for Magento. I talk about Magento. Have you heard about Magento? That's what we want to know today on the podcast.
Have you heard about BuzzConf?
Have you heard about BuzzConf? I don't know. I don't know if Magento will be there. It's a New Zealand joke or an Aussie joke, and if you haven't heard about it, you will from somebody.
Yeah. The important answer to the topic brought up earlier by Jeremy. I am on the 10:45 to Seattle. Jeremy, is that the same flight as you?
Sorry?
I'm on the 10:45 to Seattle. Is that the same flight as you?
No, you're in Seattle.
Leaving Seattle is what I meant. Yeah, to Newark. And to JFK. Different flights, aren't we? Yeah, well, we'll find out on the next episode of PHP Town Hall. So we are here today recording live with a really janky setup of just two little laptops. So sorry if you can't hear anything, but we are at Pacific Northwest PHP.
Yes.
Nice.
Very good.
Nailed it. So we've got a bunch of attendees in the audience. Hello there.
Hey!
If you say woo, you win a mint. There you go. Plenty of mints. Right, so what are we talking about first? I guess, Yitz, first thing I'll ask you about is what is going on with your world tour? You are all over the place.
Those are two separate things, actually. I'm all over the place, and I'm in the midst of a world tour. The world tour is actually kind of winding down here the next couple of months, I think. I started back in January. My wife calls it my midlife crisis. And somewhere along the line in a game of chicken with the virtual PHP community, I agreed to attempt, anyway, 50 user groups in 2015. Got some sponsors along the way. Fortunately, was smart enough to scale back a little bit and only promised 35. I think we'll hit that. We're at 31 now. And this is also conference 18 for the year.
Wow, that's a fair few. How's that working out with your new job?
It's challenging. It's very challenging. I accepted a full-time role in July, and I mean, they knew to a certain extent what they were getting into with my travel schedule till the end of the year. But you know, it is difficult trying to balance the two.
So, Provo's where you're at now, right?
I am.
What was the motivation for switching from consulting to a full-time day job?
You know, it was. I had the opportunity. They were a consulting client, and I had the opportunity to try them on for size. I was not looking for a full-time role at all, and I'm sure had I had to go through the normal interviewing channels, I would have bailed out before that. It's really not for me. But I got a chance to meet the people and to actually work embedded in the team for a good month before we started, edging around that idea of making this a permanent arrangement. And it really was a culture, both the general company culture and engineering culture, that was quite attractive to me. Really solid management, solid product, and they made me the proverbial offer I couldn't refuse in terms of a role with the company. Kind of an interesting title. I'm the engineering practice manager, but I do and process, but I do a lot of training, mentoring, a lot of pairing, coaching. Enjoyed a lot.
Yeah, we've the three of us, apart from Ben, unfortunately, we were just in New Zealand, which is why we're all probably sounding a little bit slurry.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I'm sounding slurry. I'm sober as a judge, but I'm very jet lagged. But the three of us were in New Zealand. The burning question for Ben is, what was the name of that drink you had that had 8 different types of rum in it?
Oh, there was a. I don't remember the name. It was like. This looks interesting, but it wasn't like a tiny little bit. It was just like this one thing, and so that was like okay, I'll have this, and then I was gone. Good night. Went home.
I really enjoyed the bit where the bartender said, "If you talk about politics one more time, then I'm going to charge you double for your drinks." And then you brought up the New Zealand flag.
Yep.
Anyone
That was the only response. I mean, that was literally like we walked in there, and I think there was some ensuing political discussion coming like through the door, and then he was like, "No, politics, you're out." And then of course, I said, "Well, about that flag."
I bring this up because one question we had is, is it ever tough with dealing with Shabbat conferences? Because we all went out and got shit-faced. Well, they all went out and got shit-faced. And you were trapped in the hotel for... No, I didn't.
What'd you do last night?
I had a taste of the black vodka. A taste. I wet my tongue, but that was nothing. I didn't drink.
You should give the $3,000 back.
Yeah. So
it's all gone straight in my pocket. Anyway,
well, and that's it. Deals off.
No, fair. This does look like an amazing cider, 6.7% on the morning of the 15th.
What asshole put a cider in front of you?
Oh, it's okay. I have self-control. As soon as I wake up on the 15th, I'm going to shove this down my throat. Stop.
What?
Monty's not here.
What are some of the troubles you have to deal with at conferences with the Shabbat?
Yeah, so traveling to conferences that span the Jewish Sabbath, so that's Friday night from sundown till nightfall on Saturday, is challenging. I mean, first I have to speak around that schedule. And so that was interesting, let's say in Benelux, where the actual conference sessions don't begin until 1 o'clock on Friday, and the Sabbath comes in there at about 4. So that was pretty tricky. But even beyond that, then just navigating the hotel is interesting. You've got electric doors in and out of the hotel, so I usually have to find a way, a back entrance or some type of manual entrance, or kind of walk with somebody else scooting through, so they trigger the sensor and I just kind of come along for the ride. Doors with key cards, so a little tape over the jamb usually takes care of that. Food.
So you're saying you're free to be robbed every.
Pretty much, my room is wide open. Yeah, pretty much.
When you had a fun time, with this ceremony. I remember Jordy and I were there at Benelux for the. You had to burn some stuff and like figuring out, okay, how can I put this? How can I light the match, get the match going, but then not put it out.
We couldn't find a match. First off, traditionally you accept the onset of the Sabbath by lighting candles, and at Benelux, because the schedule was pretty tight, I was getting in just the nick of time, and I'm sitting down for the meal, and we've got 3-4 minutes until the absolute last moment at which I could accept the Sabbath. Suddenly the light bulb comes on. I haven't lit candles, so first we had to scurry around, find candles. Does somebody have a match? And it was a bit of an adventure. Food is an issue, so I usually keep a hot plate in the room. My wife sends food with me, so tremendous amount of luggage. That was interesting getting into New Zealand, which has very, very stringent biosecurity laws. So I was over an hour through customs as they inventoried every item and looked up every item in every commercial food product in my suitcase on the computer to see if they could let me in with it, not let me in with it.
Seeing as you've got an empty suitcase, can I fill up with some of this Seattle cider and I'll have it back in New York?
There you
go. Yeah, thanks. That's awesome. So Ben, what was your favorite talk here at the Pacific Northwest PHP, the conference? What was your favorite?
Well, there was a riveting talk on Magento 2 that I happened to attend. It was good. No, Cal Evans, man. Anytime that guy, and it's not even just keynotes or anything else. Just being around him. If you follow him on Twitter or Facebook, you could see his energy is consistent. It's just flapping, and then. His keynote today I've seen it a couple times, I think, and it was just an even more refined amount of passion, and the delivery is so plaintively honest, and it says a lot when you can only see like 2 or 3 people on their device during this keynote at the end of a conference when everyone's kind of burned out from going to all the talks, but everyone was just looking at Cal and just kind of soaking in his performance and being inspired.
Yeah, that's the second time I've seen it, and he was talking about something or other about kind of getting involved and giving back to the community, and I felt like warm tingles going down my spine, and I was that's a bit weird. I just had a feeling, but I don't understand what this is. I'm very uptight.
I have the side effect of not drinking.
Yeah, shit, I have emotions. Oh god, how am I going to deal with these now? But yeah, it was a really good talk. What about you, Ben? Other Ben?
Other Ben. My favorite was probably Ed Finkler's talk on mental illness. Ed always just does a great job, and he's really put himself out there, very honest and open, and reaching out to the community to make a real dent in people's lives in a good way.
Yeah, I was going to say, that sounds like a bit violent. Yeah, that's impressive because you've been doing that a while. And I saw when he started off kind of talking about maybe I'll take this on the road. I'm not sure how well received it will be. I'll give it a try. And everyone's accepted it really well.
Yeah, and the community's really supported him too. I guess every year he does a fundraiser to support it. And it seems like everybody's really pitching in to make it happen.
The only, I heard some, not specifically about him, but some people that have trouble understanding some of the greater problems in the community, some of the problems with gender neutrality, with mental illness, and the kind of the point of view was, first we've got to worry about it. Now everyone's got mental illness, everyone's got a problem, everyone's got this, that, and the other. It's incredibly short-sighted to be that way. I think it's good that we're opening ourselves up to dealing with more problems, and these aren't new problems. We're just starting to talk about them more.
Yeah, I mean, tech is a very small part of what we do usually. People are the biggest thing we deal with, and there's no reason to ignore that just in favor of all technical talks.
Well, I mean, that's the best. I think the best thing about what he's doing. I remember being at Tech a couple of years ago, and he gave the talk, and I was one of probably like 60% of the people in the room who were just who were sort of sobbing by the end of it. But just making it okay to talk about, right? So that's one of his central themes is that, hey, you can talk about a broken arm, but you can't talk about living with this crushing depression every day or whatever. So that is, and that's work. These things are not mutually exclusive, right? We don't have to, fix the gender thing. We don't have to, bring parity in one area to another problem. It makes no sense to for another.
Yeah, I feel like most of it is of teaching people to understand what they're doing, which causes a problem. Teach them how to be understanding. It essentially comes down to not being a dick, because most of it is just about, like if someone's angry, it might not be because they're just a jackass. It could just be that they're having a problem and you're triggering that. So yeah, most of it's just about teaching understanding and about, don't say guys if you're addressing a group of women, and it's just certain things, whether you agree with every single thing or not. It's usually a case of just like be a little bit understanding of the situation. And I think we can all learn a lot more about how to be more understanding.
It's all about empathy.
Yeah, that works. Empathy is a good way of saying don't be a dick, I guess. That's yeah, that's true. So thank you very much, everybody.
How was your adventures from what I saw on Twitter? So post New Zealand conference, PHP New Zealand, you rented a car because it is another land where they drive on the wrong side of the damn road.
Yep.
And you got on a ferry and you went to the South Island and proceeded to pick up a hitchhiker.
That was after I got the speeding ticket.
So it's just speeding ticket, hitchhiker. I think how many machetes or hatchets did he have?
He didn't have any hatchets or machetes. But 4 hours into the conversation, we were hitting it off like great friends. We chatted about religion, politics, everything under the sun that you shouldn't talk about. And about 4 hours in, he felt like he could open up to me and was like, so then I got the arrested for assault. And that was when things really went wrong. And I was like, holy fuck, who have I picked up? He seemed like a really nice guy. And all of a sudden he started going on about this like money troubles with the situation. And people were like phoning him up. And he's like, I'll get you the damn money. Just calm down. No, tell him not to come to my house. I was like, I do not want to be involved in this situation anymore. I'm so scared. I was really worried that like when I stopped, someone was going to like run out and they're just going to take the car. But it turned out okay. He was a nice guy.
And then you ran over on the road. You said you ran over something. Yeah, I was gonna.
No, I ran over 3 possums. One of them was already dead. I did manage to save a baby lamb, a goose, and I think a heron. I really nearly hit that heron, but I swerved around it. The South Island. Yeah, the South Island was very full of wildlife. It's
less full now.
Well, I had to cover about 800 kilometers, and it was 800 on the way down. I went to Queenstown, did some bungee jumping, hiked up a mountain and stuff. Just got the fuck away from computers for a while. And on the way back up, I made a few stops that were like 300 kilometers at a time, and it was really fucking late and really tired. And the roads are insanely windy, but they still let you do 100 kilometers an hour, which the policeman told me. And yeah, just driving about. There's lots of wildlife around.
How much was your ticket?
Only 80 New Zealand bucks.
I don't know what that means.
$40 American. It's a fucking bargain, to be honest. I nearly went for another one.
Yeah, you said they'd bargain at twice the price.
Yeah, absolutely. So he said if you'd have been doing another, I was doing 114. The limit was 100. And if I'd have been doing 120, it would have gone up to 100 New Zealand dollars, which still isn't twice the price. I should have really gone for it. But yeah, New Zealand was a lot of fun. There's that bungee jump video of me on Twitter somewhere of like bungee jumping, and then the trouble is with this big ass bungee jump, you're meant to call you're upside down obviously, and then by your foot you've got this cord that you're meant to pull out, so your feet drop down and you're the right way up. And then I couldn't do that, and it got stuck on my boot, so I just was dangling 143 meters in the air, just upside down for like a minute. It was really bad, but yeah, fun adventures. What did you get up to in New Zealand?
Nothing. I went home. I got done with New Zealand, and I was like, okay, well, I have between now and my last event this year in beginning of December, I have a total of 4 days at home. So one of them was after New Zealand, so I went home for a day, did all the things, all the stuff. I had to call with my wife earlier, and she's like, "Yep, your list for next Friday is already up to 8 things." So, yeah, you
can't see this on camera, but there's a hand on me.
There it is.
Okay. Well, that's actually quite relaxing. Thank you.
Starving.
So yeah, you've got quite a month coming up, haven't you? You were saying the other day you're going fucking everywhere, bringing the wife along for.
Yep. So the wife is joining me. So we've got Meet Magento New York is next week.
Yes.
Sarah Bowman has a new occupation in life. And there's actually a ton of Meet Magento events coming up. These are actually community events that Magento itself doesn't put on. We do have one of our big conferences that we do put on down in Australia in November. But yeah, it's just running about all over, like day trips from Europe to South America and back, and it's going to be quite the tour. But we've got a lot going on, so that's what we have to talk about. I have to evangelize about Magento 2. Which I'm
not heard you bring
always
Magento up.
No, I rarely talk about it.
Yeah. Well, moving on. Yes, you're at Laracon doing the keynote.
I was.
And you did. Well, tell us a bit about what you were talking about there.
So, Talmudic Maxims to Maximize Your Growth as a Software Developer, the talk that has featured most prominently in the Wisdom as a Service World Tour. And so I closed the conference there with that. And I guess what you're edging up to is that I took the opportunity the talk is 90% the same wherever I give it. The examples that I use, the people that I call out maybe are a little bit different. I mix it up a little bit depending on how much time I'm allotted, but the content's the same. For Laracon, I kind of stepped outside of the normal talk for a 3-4 minute segment on community isolationism, and delivered a message that I felt that they might need to hear to a certain extent, and it was surprisingly well received.
Was this kind of pre-warned to the?
Not at all.
All right.
Not at all.
So you just kind of roll with it and see.
Yeah,
see
I figure it's the last talk of the conference. What's going to happen?
No pitchforks were visible.
I'm sorry. No. It actually was very, very well received. I had a lot of people come up to me afterwards and said it was other people had broached the subject and perhaps come at it from a little bit different angle, but they felt that mine was a very positive message. A very positive spin on that concern, and that they appreciated it. And one person come up to me and said, that whole thing where you illustrate layers of community with concentric circles, and you've got Laravel in the middle, and then the next ring is PHP, and you talked about isolationism. I mean, I kind of got the feeling that you were saying, I'm like, yeah. But otherwise, people were quite supportive. Yeah.
Because you did it in a much better way. You clearly got kind of led them up to the point you're trying to make in a bit more of a soft approach. Less cuss words. I ended up having the same conversation with the Laravel community in not the best way. I was driving back, being driven back from like a night out in Atlantic City where we were just up all night drinking, and I made one tweet and then they fucking flipped out. And I was talking about how they're building a lot of Laravel specific resources that could have been more generic. And I said, it'd be a good idea not to silo yourself too much. And I thought the point would stand by itself. But in the end, everyone got in a bit of a huff and didn't really ask me what I meant. They just assumed I meant 12 different dumbass things and just argued against those imagined things. So
Welcome to Twitter.
exactly.
Yeah, right.
So I thought, right, take this off Twitter. I'll write a blog post, and I tried to expand on those points in a little bit larger, in prose. And I think that the article probably should have waited a few days or a week, but I wanted to like have something to point to stop the onslaught of madness. And unfortunately, the blog post didn't help either. So yeah, some of the things that, talking about where the Laravel community does silo itself off, framework-specific packages that don't need to be framework-specific, Laravel-specific news when most of the stuff they're talking about is just PHP stuff. A lot of repositories where you can only find Laravel code, so people would try and find code that they could use, whereas a plain PHP thing would work fine, but they can't find it on there.
That was
stuff like that.
That was, I think, the difference was that I approached it from maybe 180 degrees the opposite direction, not in terms of here as a community what you ought to be doing in terms of engaging with the greater community, but here as individuals how it's perhaps dangerous if you don't, and what you can gain by engaging in the greater community. So rather than painting that isolationism as dangerous and laying blame, rather I kind of laid it out as maybe an insidious trap that they, as individuals, they should be wary of.
Yeah, that's a much better approach, and that's kind of the same thing that I was trying to do. I guess it came out wrong, but yeah, it was more about like community members and like people at Laravel themselves, and everybody else. These are things that you should be concerned about. I could have just put like a kid glove on and been like, it would be great if you did these things instead, but it's kind of the same thing. Sometimes it's hard to do.
Yeah, I mean, we used to talk a lot back in the day about code native developers versus PHP developers.
Yeah.
Laravel's kind of falling in the same trap where you shouldn't just be a Laravel developer. You really shouldn't even just be a PHP developer. You should be a developer.
Yeah, well, that was one of the things.
So it's career limiting for you as well as limiting for the community.
Yeah. But that was one of the examples. So I said that if you list yourself on LinkedIn or wherever you advertise yourself, Twitter description was one example they took far too specifically. No one gets a job through their Twitter description was the joke. But if you label yourself, wherever you brand yourself as a Laravel developer, then if someone needs a cake PHP developer, if someone needs a cake developer and you say you're a Laravel developer and they're like a recruiter, they're a non-technical person, they don't know that you're able to do the job. And you are perfectly able to do the job. If I've switched languages a bazillion times, switching frameworks doesn't fucking matter. It's a different T-shirt. So
Someone tweet that.
So yeah, if you brand yourself very heavily tied to one framework, then you find yourself kind of shot in the foot the second you try and use something else, or you don't even realize that you've shot yourself in the foot because the opportunity's fucked off down the road. And that's the stuff that I tried to explain there as well. And I think one of the comments from Ian Landsman was, "No one's ever been hired by a recruiter." I was like, "Are you fucking kidding me? I've been hired by recruiters. I've hired loads of people through recruiters." So
the
yeah,
reason why there's a lot of recruiters.
right.
There's a lot of people who need jobs.
People definitely get hired by recruiters. So yeah, I feel like we as developers, it's which level you advertise yourself kind of goes all the way up. Because I don't like to call myself. I used to call myself a Code United developer, and that's where I'm coming from with this. That I've been there in the past, and it fucked me over a bit. And then I thought PHP developer would be better, but I use multiple languages, so web developer is a good start. But I do stuff that's not even related to the web. I do back-end processing and all sorts of crazy stuff. So now, like all the workers, systems, and message queues. Now I'm a software engineer, and that's a much better title to have if you can apply it to yourself reasonably. So I feel like people are just digging themselves in a hole.
Yourself, do you want to? It's easy to market to a niche. So if you're trying to get like freelance jobs, it might be perfectly acceptable to say you're a Laravel developer.
Yeah. Because
then you can get very proficient in Laravel. You can do a ton of freelance jobs for that, and that's fine. It's a marketing choice.
Yeah.
But to do that blindly without making the choice is limiting yourself.
That is a problem. And what I say there usually is I'm a software engineer with years of experience in Laravel. And that's totally
I say
fine.
like specializing in X, whatever.
Yeah, Laravel, composer list, any buzzword you want to get them extra Google hits, but you just say that you're a software engineer and you can do anything you fucking want. But yeah, that's me ranting about something. I feel like you did a good job with that. Have you done anything else, like a blog post on that sort of topic, or are you just going to leave it to sprout its wings? Or?
We'll see where it goes.
Okay.
We'll see where it goes.
Yeah.
In every version of the talk, I do speak a little bit about the layers of community and the importance of engaging, even if you identify most heavily with a very narrow community, be it the Laravel community or the Drupal community or the Magento community, how important it is to engage in the community at least one level broader, so that you have that much more to bring back to the community that you identify with most closely. And I often, interestingly, just to put kind of an odd spin on it, I'll use Taylor himself as a positive example. And people typically don't expect that, but I explained that his at least being aware of the goings on in the greater PHP community has allowed him to leverage public packages, framework agnostic packages, to the benefit of the Laravel framework and by extension the Laravel community.
Yeah.
But even to take it one ring further, if you've got Laravel in the middle and then PHP, well, you've got the greater software development community broader than that, and coming into the PHP community with a background in .NET architectures, with an appreciation for the high leverage of Rails from the Ruby community, is what drove him to design Laravel the way he did. And people don't expect that, because they are seen, rightly or wrongly in some ways, as a highly insular community. So it's kind of a surprising example, to use him to illustrate that point. But that set it up very, very nicely then for me to challenge the members of that community at Laracon to emulate Taylor, not to limit themselves to utilizing the tools that he's developed for them, but to live the example that he set for them. And I think that resonated.
Yeah, well played, sir.
You should really do this like full time. You're pretty good at it.
All right, bye.
So we have a bunch of smart people in the room. None of them are here.
Also, Jeremy Nicole is here too.
Right. That's unfair. At least one of us is very clever. But are there any questions from the room for anybody else? Can we grab anybody up here to do a little bit of question answering? It's a great chance to talk to Sarah Gorman off of HHVM and Facebook. We've got Jeremy, who can tell us all about his special chocolates he's been having recently.
Actually, Anthony is really keen to describe how transistors work. True facts. This is true.
What's going on with transistors?
Talk today about magic. It's magic. Well, take away the end. Come on, spoilers. That's like slide 4. That's okay. All right.
Anyone want to play the iterated drinking game? That's hilarious. Any questions for these lovely gentlemen? Oh dear.
It's a great fucking crowd.
Or is it just the one?
I'm sorry?
Do you have
Your
different hats like for special occasions?
You need to repeat the question as well for the.
Oh, do I have any different hats? This was not a setup, I promise, but I have a Grovo hat.
That's hilarious.
It's an all-weather yarmulke.
Nice elevator pitch.
I got a question. Does Rosh Hashanah pose any extra difficulties beyond what you normally deal with like the Sabbath and things like that? So it's coming up.
So I wouldn't travel at all on the holidays, but not really because they pose additional challenges, but I'm not looking to be away from the family on the holidays. It's challenging enough being away as frequently as I am on the Sabbath. And you're tied a lot more closely to the synagogue. Meaning if I'm in an area where I can get within reasonable walking distance to the synagogue, I'll attend services on the Sabbath from a conference and just come wandering a little bit late on Saturday. But Rosh Hashanah, it's 2 days, and we would be in synagogue 12, 13 hours a day. So, it just doesn't work with the conference. I'm actually taking It's tomorrow night. It starts in the evening. Yeah, so I'm leaving tomorrow morning.
Oh, okay.
And I'm actually flying from here straight to Philadelphia. Rosh Hashanah by my mentor, who is in Philadelphia these days. So I'll meet my family actually in Philadelphia. I'll arrive 2-3 hours before Rosh Hashanah starts.
Tight schedule.
Yeah.
Well,
If you're delayed, you're in trouble.
I mean, if I'm delayed, I'm in a lot of trouble. Yeah.
I have kind of a downer question.
Sweet.
What does your blog post today have to do with the future of this podcast?
Oh, so the question
Right,
was,
so
what does my
repeat it.
what does my blog post today have to do with that? I didn't actually write that blog post today. I wrote it back in May. I tweeted it today because today is my last conference. Yay! I've talked about on the well, it's the last conference for the foreseeable future. I have no plans to do anything. We talked 2-3 episodes ago about how I was like stepping back from whatever my open source obligations and various other things in PHP. Mostly because I don't use PHP anymore and I don't need to keep on fighting with the fig or anything else. So yeah, I'm still doing this podcast. Just mostly it's going to change the format a little bit. So instead of me like bringing somebody on and us together telling you what's happening, I would be like, so what is happening in the community? Please do tell me about this. I don't know. What new PSRs are there? So yeah, it's going to keep on going for now.
We have reduced the frequency a little bit.
The last one was 2 months ago and I wasn't on it. Yeah. It was also about APIs and I'm just like, yeah, I'm tired. Good night. I was at my parents' house back in the UK because more feasible. No, it wasn't feasible shit. It's just on a trip. And going to PHP South Coast. And I was at the parents' house and the walls are made of fucking paper.
We did one time at your parents' house. And apparently they hated you the next day.
Yes. Yes. They said, son, you're very loud. So we love you, but shut up, I think was the response.
Wow, we should have them on the podcast.
Yeah.
They sound very interesting.
Yeah, they actually came to PHP South Coast and they saw me give a talk there for the first time and they hadn't got a clue what I was talking about, but they met a bunch of people.
They're as disappointed in you as we are.
Yeah, absolutely. They did not know why they bothered coming. I introduced them to Lorna Mitchell and said, I've got a whole bunch of surgeons with me. And she said, you can have too much of a good thing. Which is very polite.
British.
Yeah, it's that Britishness, but she's northern, so not polite at all. So yeah, that was fun. Still around for now. Can't get rid of me. But we really do have to sort out the frequency of our
yeah, we can't change the name because we have a really good song. So it would become like Web Town Hall, but the song's so good. So.
It has to be the same number of syllables so we can just edit it out. And it'll be like a Siri's voice. Just PHP.
WEB Town Hall. Same syllables.
Yeah, we're safe there. We're safe. We just got to get the right. Sorry? Phil Hayes PHP Town Hall podcast, yeah. The joke there was that it's recursive acronym. Yeah. Very nice. I haven't even got any apple juice left. I'm so depressed.
Still got that cider.
You know, if you were a little more patient, that would be cider.
I think this is mostly just sugar, to be honest, but wonderful episode.
All right, Sarah, could you join us? So the question for you.
I'd love to join you.
Yeah. I will give you my
Close
seat.
so I
I'm
can
out of
actually
here.
speak. Oh, all right. I'll take your seat.
All right, so very important question. What is the status of the elephant?
The elephants. You mean the blue elephants, right?
Come in the picture.
I mean the.
I need to get in the picture.
the
Okay.
HHVM.
I'm trying to be respectful for your
No, it's all
boundaries here. Okay.
Oh, do you want to switch?
No, the hack elephants,
Yes.
the pachyderm, as I like to call them.
that, all right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, well, we can't really call it an elephant, you know. It's not PHP, you know.
Right.
So it's, yeah. So I brought the prototype. I don't have him
Is
with
it?
me. He's up in my room.
Oh.
Sorry. He's the pachyderm, and his name is Steve. We are
Steve.
going to produce more.
Why is he called Steve?
So all of our releases this year. So we do 13 releases a year, every other week. Yeah. And no, 26 releases a year, which is every other week. Each release begins with a different letter of the alphabet. So we have the A, the B, the C in that order.
Okay.
And they all have to have a common theme. Last year, their common theme was hip hop artists because it's hip hop.
Right.
This year, the theme is Steve's. So we have like Steve Jobs, Steve Carell, Steve Buscemi, Steve Seagal. Yeah.
What's the current Steve?
I don't know, what month is it? It's September, so it must be pretty late in the alphabet. I honestly have no idea. My particular team doesn't make up the names. There's 3 separate parts of the HHVM team. And
I just what yeah.
there's a team that focuses on language. So there's the hack team. and they just focus on like all the extra bits of extra syntax. And there's my team, which is the open source team. We deal with like, issues and pull requests and actually getting the code out there and making sure that we don't like leak all the company secrets along with the rest of the code. And then there's the performance team. So they actually build like the really deep layers of the runtime and the JIT and all that kind of stuff. That's the team that actually gets to name the releases. So I have no idea why Steve is a theme, but Steve is the Sears theme, so the elephant is Steve. Funny story. When we were first designing the elephant, I just assumed the elephant was a girl. Like that's just my default for the elephant. So I kept referring to her as like, oh, come and see the new elephant. She's in this particular room. You can come and check her out. And eventually we realized like, oh no, the name of the elephant has to be Steve. So I think we've determined that the elephant is in fact genderqueer. So we've got that piece of diversity for the yeah, exactly. So we're more inclusive now. So that's great. Yeah. Sorry?
Your next letter is Q.
Okay, well, there you go. So our queer elephant is right on schedule. So yeah, so we're going to produce them. It's not a question of funding the thing. I think Facebook can come up with the couple of bucks it's going to take to produce these.
There's a whole team to name
No
them.
Kickstarter.
Yeah, well, no, there will be a Kickstarter actually. So the Kickstarter is largely going to be to figure out where the heck to send all these elephants, and that's just sort of like, this is a guess. We haven't like nailed it down yet, but it'll probably be something along the lines of like a $5 or $10 level to be able to get an elephant, whatever sets sort of proper level of hesitancy, so not everybody's just not like, oh, I'll take a free elephant. We haven't worked out all the logistics yet. Yeah. We're not concerned about breaking even. We can subsidize this. That's no big deal. It's a fun thing to do. Everybody on the team wants their elephants because they're like, oh my God, this is so cool. This is our project. And obviously, it's part of being part of that PHP community. Like the elephant is the mascot of PHP, and we're not PHP, but we're part of PHP, and this is our way to sort of like step into that. And for anyone listening, who posted the photo that got on? Was it Cal Evans? Cal Evans posted a pretty decent photo of it. I think he intentionally obscured some features just to kind of help maintain mystery. But if you're curious what it looks like, that's what people can go to and check out. Are you actually recording video for this podcast?
Yeah.
I didn't know it was a video podcast. I thought we were just like talking to Sammy or something. If we were doing like a simulcast sort of thing.
No.
So like.
No, last time we tried that, Davey snuck on, and we're not doing that mistake.
Oh right, yeah, that didn't work out too well. So yeah, no, I'm so excited about I have the only phacoderm right now, and I guard this elephant so closely. I'm like, you don't leave my side.
Good thing you don't
come
have to
home
do
with
the
me every
early
night.
door thing on Saturday.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Jeremy McCall has a question.
Question for Sarah. You know what podcast you're on right now?
The question is, what podcast are you on right now?
Obviously, I'm on Roundtable, right?
No.
I know I'm on Town Hall. I just like something in my mind said that it was going to be another one of those crossovers, and I don't know why that was in my
We
head.
did that at Sunshine.
Yeah, we did it at Sunshine, and
Yeah.
for some reason it was in my head that we were doing it again.
You didn't notice the lack of production quality?
Yeah, Sammy had like 400 good microphones on the table.
It was.
Yes, right, he did. He had like a whole soundboard. He was
We
like,
had 2 laptops.
because
we have
neither
one.
of them is complete, is why we have 2 laptops, right? Yes, I know what podcasts we're on. Thanks. I see Phil Sturgeon over there.
He's not on the podcast anymore.
No, I quit. I didn't use PHP.
You host the P3 podcast, right?
Sorry.
Nobody remembers P3. Wow. Okay.
Question for Ben. Where did you put my hat? Why?
It's right there on the table.
No, before that.
On my butt.
Why did you put it in your butt?
Because, not in. Let's be clear. On.
That was on my head.
And through the transitive property.
My butt.
Be very careful where you put Phil's sausage.
So this is categorized under academic podcasts, is that right?
Explicit academic podcast.
Explicit academic.
It's educational, just not anything you ever wanted to learn.
If you want to learn about how much wildlife there is dead in New Zealand, then
Just follow your trail.
All right, any questions for Sarah now that she's up here?
No, nobody
That's
cares.
kind of insulting people. Come on.
Nobody cares. It's not covered in poo. Probably.
He had the decency to wear boxer shorts because he knew that I'd probably tweet the photograph. So, to be fair, I did forget to tweet the photograph, so I'll do that now.
While Phil does that, we've got a question from Larry Garfield.
Sarah, please. I don't want to get the recording. You work on both HHVM and on PHP at this point. What are you specifically working on either one of those that you think is really cool for either engine or both engines or whatever? What are you doing right now with those?
So most of my work's going to HHVM right now. I'm just gonna throw that straight out. The question was, since I work on both to some extent, what am I working on and what I think is cool? I'm working on everything on HHVM right now. There's so much work to be done, and I mentioned that I didn't really feel like HHVM was an open enough project during my keynote, and I don't think it is. I think we would get so much better volume through our pull request process if people were treating the GitHub repository as our source of truth and people were committing directly to it, and it was a little bit more PHP-like. Unfortunately, it can't be for a variety of technical and logistic reasons. So what I do is about 50% just hand-holding everybody else, trying to make sure that we're as welcoming as possible with pull requests, and we get them in instead of having them languish as pull requests to open source projects often do. They just sit there until somebody can be bothered to review it. I'm talking to you, Twitter. And then the other half of that is trying to work on parity, making sure that we actually match PHP in all the appropriate ways, and we do all the stupid stuff that PHP does. I have
There's no resentment.
No, there's no resentment right
there.
I've actually gotten the habit of making new T-shirts. I've got one that shows the equality graph for PHP. Somebody else on my team drew up this intricate graph of 1 is greater than 0, which is equal to nan, but not equal to null, which is equal to nan, and is greater than infinity, but less than negative. The weird equality rules in PHP is all expressed in this massive graph, and I've been making T-shirts out of that because it's so I don't go insane and kill people.
Can you just make a poster out of that?
Oh, I could totally make a poster out of that. I'll open an Etsy shop because there's plenty of material here.
We'll put it on Made in Production and do some T-shirts on that.
There you go. There you go.
Just like the PHP what?
PHP, yes, very much like the PHP what. Actually, my Facebook page for it is because PHP. So it's why does this happen? Well, because PHP. It's just because PHP. So that's what I'm doing on the HHVM side, and then on the PHP side, I largely when I see those, what the hell PHP? What are you doing? What are you thinking? I usually have to just sort of sigh and keep going on because this has been in place since 4.2 or something. But when it's no, I happen to know that just went in 5.6 or it's just about to go in 7.0, I'll be no, we got to fix this bug. Here's what I'm seeing. Is this okay with everybody if I just go and fix it? And I'll throw that patch in. And that's mostly all I'm doing in PHP right now, though I am doing a few extensions apart from that, like ASTKit, ASTView, things like that, to work with the cool new stuff that's in 7. And if I can do it right, I'm really hoping to bring some of those hack features into PHP through extensions, which I can do a lot easier. Anthony keeps shaking his fists in the air. Oh, it's a thumbs up. Okay. I'm not understanding it though. For example, I would like to see some way to run hack code in PHP so that you can try out hack without having to switch runtimes. That'd be cool, because then we can get people to realize that hack is awesome and then they'll switch runtimes. Basically, I'm trying different approaches. One possible approach is to just sort of pre-process the code and strip the types out so that it looks like PHP code. Another possibility is just write my own AST generator. Right. I don't have to write the whole compiler. I just have to make my own AST tree. So I could, make transforms of codes where appropriate. If I see a short lambda, I can actually turn that into a regular closure, for example. So there are ways that the PHP runtime could potentially run most hack code except for async. which is the other project that I've been playing with and trying to find ways to make async work in PHP. Because to me, that's the killer feature of Hack. And if we can't make that work in PHP, then it sucks. So.
Or is there like an RFC for that, or you're just playing around with this?
At the moment, I'm playing around with it. If I can come up with something that makes sense and works, then I'm definitely going to put it into an RFC and say, hey, we need to add these keywords and this functionality, because this is going, like, PHP 7 is doubling the speed of PHP 5, right? The same code is going to run in half the cycles and is going to return to the user that much quicker. What if we could have that again? Async could have that again, or even a third, take that down to 1/3 of what it is. Like, the amount of performance left to squeeze out of our applications is still huge, but we have to have the tools to do it with, and we need to rethink how we put these things. Yeah, we need to have the user land tools to actually be able to do it. And we don't have those tools right now in PHP. We only have them in Hack.
Question, Davey.
Yeah, this is actually for all of you. What is your favorite feature in PHP 7, and why is it the spaceship operator?
I mean, I already knew what my answer was when you asked the question.
The question was, what's your favorite feature in PHP 7, and why spaceship? And we all hate Davey.
I hate the spaceship operator. No, I love the spaceship operator. It's so cute. It's a little sandwich with it. It's like an Oreo from the side. I love Oreos. No, actually, I like the no coalesce operator, as stupid as that sounds. Because that was like, that's the pattern you start doing the minute you get into PHP. The first thing you do is, all right, $A equals, well, $_ if is set $_ get A, then $_ get A, otherwise some default. Like, that's one of the first pieces of PHP you write. And it's crazy that it's taken until PHP 7 to get that right. So that's my favorite.
Technically PHP 6.
Oh, hey. I'm twice your size. I will take you down.
So you're like 5'10"?
This is why we don't have Davey on the podcast.
You can even see it on the display. Like, I'm taking up, like, oh.
I'm a little threatened right now. I'm glad there's a rabbi between us.
If there weren't a man of peace between us right now.
All right.
I love you, Ben. You know I love you.
I know. Ben Marks.
Yeah, Ben Marks, you know I love you.
What's not to not love? What?
Exactly, yes.
What's your favorite Magento feature in PHP 7?
And why is it the spaceship operator?
I'm just happy that PHP is going to be running things much, much more quickly, because that's always been a pain point. Magento,
I knew it.
takes a little bit of it takes a little bit of oomph to get it going.
All right. So did Ben Marks just say Magento is slow as fuck?
No.
Because I did say that during my presentation. I don't know if you noticed the graphs, but like there's all this high speed, and then Magento's like
yeah.
here.
I've had dinner with Rasmus. I've had this discussion in probably the worst way possible, when you've got the guy who created PHP going, man, like, why would you ever do anything like this with PHP? So no, I wouldn't say Magento is slow. I would just say that Magento has been waiting for PHP to really come into its own.
You're setting the goalpost.
So, but what we
PHP
we had to learn a lot, and so Magento 2 actually does fix a lot of problems that we had. Well, things that are suboptimal in
you
Magento
worked
1.
around issues in PHP. Yes.
Yeah.
Magento 2 is out fourth quarter of this year.
So we'll fix those.
Well, no, we actually
We'll
we have
work
people-
around those issues in PHP.
We actually have enterprise sites being built in Magento 2 right now. So we're doing.
We actually found the same thing that you were talking about earlier with sort of making use of this great community of people around, the product that you're making. So we changed how we were actually able to let people submit pull requests on our GitHub repository, which is a really novel concept. You should all try it. It's great for open source. And we can barely keep up with it. So our core team is actually processing those. So I'm in the middle of standing up a 4-person community team, and we're actually going to do an SLA with our community, so that if you file an issue or you submit a PR, you're going to get a response within 24, 36, 48 hours, not sure. But it won't be one of those where you shout something out and you hear nothing back, because that is the most frustrating experience in all of open source.
And by the way, I want to apologize to Twitter. I didn't mean Twitter when I said that earlier. I'm looking at you. GitHub, process your own damn pull requests.
Wow, that seems tragically ironic.
That is tragically ironic, yeah.
Maybe Elizabeth Nairmore is listening.
I know I poked her about it. It's closed since, but it took a few weeks for like a one-line pull request. And I'm just like, come on, GitHub.
All right, so Phil Sturgeon was in the back doing the helicopter. We all have to get onto the chopper? Yeah, that's the okay.
chopper.
You want us to wrap this up? Is that
He
what
wants
you're
us to
saying?
wrap this up.
I think we're getting close to time, but you can
It's getting close to time.
I thought we had the room for the night.
Like, we fetching beers for people, so you can do what you want.
Yeah, but you fetched him
This is
a nasty pumpkin
Horrible.
beer.
What the fuck, Phil?
I didn't pay for that. You're insulting somebody.
You actually should insult Anthony.
I know.
How about questions for anyone else? Like, can we get some questions for Aaron?
How do you feel about having put the
The ass hat.
The question was, how do you feel about wearing the ass hat?
Which works on so many levels when Ben Edmonds is involved.
and interestingly enough, that's how that seems reasonable. Yeah.
So my suggestion would be we wrap this up, drink all that booze, and then fucking wreck the place. How do you feel about that plan?
Well, there are tables to flip, so let's do it.
It's Jeremy's problem now.
All right. Thanks for joining us for episode 45.
Hey, guys.
Thanks, Ben Marks and Yetz, for joining. I don't want to say your last name, so. You know.
Just spit a lot.
Watching was easy.
Yeah, right. That's the easy part.